Hello! In this tutorial we're gonna do this stitch. It's a very easy stitch, 2 rows repeat. The stitch is not reversible. This is the front of the stitch and this is the back. If you want to make a baby blanket, a cardigan, a shawl, a wrap, whatever you like to come, it has some holes, so it's a little bit open work. I think it's nice for spring or autumn, this stitch. But the stitch itself is very easy. Well, we're gonna start by doing the foundation single crochet. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna start with the knot, the slip knot. Okay, so now we're gonna chain 2, 1 and 2. We're gonna skip the first chain, and in the first chain, the second one here, the first chain that we made, we're gonna go in there and we're gonna pull up a loop and we're gonna do a single crochet, not a single crochet. We're gonna pull the yarn to the first loop, then yarn over and pull the yarn to the next 2 loops, and in here we have a stitch. So we're gonna go through that on the side there, and you're gonna pull up a loop, then yarn over and pull the yarn through the first loop here, yarn over and pull the yarn to the next 2 loops. That is a foundation single crochet. So again, we're gonna go into this stitch here. You know, you work like this, but you're gonna flip it a little bit like that, and you're gonna see the stitches. Make sure that you have 2 of those. Yeah. So you're gonna pull up a loop, pull the yarn to the first loop, yarn over and pull the yarn to the next 2 loops, and again the stitch is right here on the side. So you're gonna pull up a loop, pull the yarn to the first loop, pull the yarn to the last 2. So you go back again into that stitch there on the side. Make sure that you pick up 2. So pull up a loop, pull the yarn to the first loop, pull the yarn to the last 2, and again you go into that stitch right there on the side. Already you have the stitches forming here. So you're gonna pull up a loop, pull the yarn to the first loop, and pull the yarn to the next 2, and again you go on the side. It's right here. You pull up a loop, pull the yarn to the first loop, and then pull the yarn to the next 2, and again you're gonna go through that. But I will suggest when you do this, you go for example through this, yeah, and you pull the yarn, make sure that this loop is a little bit big, and then pull the yarn to that first loop, and then pull the yarn to the next 2. Okay, let's make one more stitch. So you go into that stitch there, pull up a loop, make sure that this is a little bit loose. Okay, then chain 1, and now in the first stitch here we're gonna go, you see you have the stitch on top, and then when you pull up a loop, you have this line here. So we're gonna go underneath that line, pick up a loop, then pull the yarn through all those 3 loops. Then you have the stitch on top here and this line here. So we're gonna go in between this line and the stitch. You go underneath the stitch, pick up a loop, and then you have this space here underneath that line, and you pick up a loop. You have 3 loops, pull the yarn through all 3 loops, and again you have the stitch on top and the line underneath. So pick up a loop, then you have this line here, and you go underneath that line, pick up a loop, 3 loops, pull the yarn through all 3 loops. So you have the stitch on top and this line. So you go between the line and the stitch, pick up a loop, go into that space underneath this line, pick up a loop, pull the yarn through all 3 loops. and you go into that space underneath that line. I'm working now with the 7.0 millimeter crochet hook. With this stitch I think you should work with the bigger crochet hook if you want that open space. So again we go underneath the stitch, and then underneath this line right there, pick up a loop and then pull the yarn through all 3 loops, and you're gonna go in there. So you have the stitch here, pull up a loop, and underneath the line, and in here in the chain here you're gonna do a single crochet, chain 1, turn your work, and now in this stitch here we're gonna skip this one, and in this one we're gonna do a single crochet, and this row we're gonna do single crochet in each stitch across the row. This is one of the rows that you're gonna repeat the single crochet, and then the row with pulling up loops. Okay, chain 1, turn your work. It's gonna look like this. So now the first stitch is here, so we're gonna go first under that stitch and then in below the space here, yeah, this space. So we go first into the stitch, pick up a loop, then we go below into that space and pull up a loop, 3 loops, pull the yarn through all 3 loops. So the next stitch is here, we're gonna go into the stitch and then into this space. That's why I said even for you guys the beginners, this stitch is easy. So you go to the next stitch, you pick up a loop, go into the space between this, and you pick up a loop, 3 loops, pull the yarn through all 3 loops. So you go below into the space. Yeah, I think this one it will look nice if you work with the bigger crochet hook than the yarn recommends. Maybe a number or 2 numbers if you like. This yarn I think recommends that I should use 5.0 millimeter crochet hook, but I'm using 7. So again, you go to the next stitch, pick up a loop, then you go below, pick up a loop, 3 loops, pull the yarn through all 3 loops. So we're gonna go into the stitch and then the space below. Yeah, I think if you make, you know, with this stitch, imagine making with, let's say, 10.0 millimeter crochet hook. You know, it looks nice for a wrap, for a shawl will look nice. So the next stitch is here, we're gonna go in there, pull up a loop, the next into the space below, pull up a loop, and in the last stitch we're gonna do a single crochet, chain 1, and now we're gonna repeat the row with single crochet in in each stitch. So we're gonna skip this one, but in this one we're gonna go in there and we're gonna do a single crochet and move to the next stitch, single crochet, next stitch, single crochet. And I think this stitch will look nice if you work with either with variegated yarn or you change colors if you like. But I think the bigger crochet hook you use, the more this will be, you know, you have the spaces, and it's really nice the way it looks. So we're doing single crochet in each stitch. The last stitch is here, we're gonna go in there and do a single crochet, chain 1, turn your work, and now we're gonna repeat the row with pulling up loops. So we're gonna go first into this stitch here and then into the space. So we go into the stitch, pick up a loop, go below, pick up a loop, 3 loops, pull the yarn through all 3 loops. You move to the next stitch and then the space below. next stitch, and the space below. I think this is very easy for you guys, the beginners, and it goes really fast. Both the rows are very easy. So you go below the next stitch, you pick up a loop, you move to the space right underneath that stitch, the space there, pick up a loop, 3 loops, pull the yarn through all 3 loops, move to the next stitch, the space below. So you have the last stitch, well, the stitch that we have to pick up loops, pull a loop, then the space below there. Oopsie. Okay, and we have the last here that we're gonna do a single crochet in there, chain 1, and now we're gonna repeat the row with a single crochet. So you're gonna do single crochet in each stitch across the row. And then you're gonna repeat the row with pulling up stitches. The last stitch in here, we're gonna do a single crochet, chain 1, turn your work. It's gonna look like this. And now I think I'm gonna do this row and then I'm gonna stop. So the first here, you're gonna go in there, pick up a loop, next pick up a loop, and you keep doing like this. Next stitch, pick up a loop, go into the space below, pick up a loop. Yeah, I think this one is gonna look nice if you change colors. Next stitch, the space below. Yeah, and this one I can guarantee you this goes really fast. I think it looks nice for a wrap or a baby blanket for spring. So the last stitch that we pick up loop in there, and the last stitch we're gonna do a single crochet, chain 1, and now you're gonna repeat the row with a single crochet, and it looks like this. It looks like this. I think it's really nice. And imagine if, like I said, if you work with a bigger crochet hook, and these are the sides. It looks like this, the sides. So at least you can put some border if you choose to, into the spaces here, if you choose to put the border if you make a blanket. And this is the back. Even the back looks okay. And the front. Okay, well, give it a try. You might like this stitch, and you're gonna choose what you like to do with this stitch. Okay, well, thank you for watching. Bye bye.